Oh, hello there. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show that's dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock music. So it's my Friday night live experience, and today we're going to stick with the original plan. I have thought about possibly talking about a concert that I've enjoyed. I've watched it a few times now on YouTube. I like it quite a bit. I may save that for another time. So we're going to stick with the original plan, which is this album, Kiss Alive 3. I have the original two, Kiss Alive 1 and 2. This one's got some differences to it. First, no more Ace Frehley, no more Peter Criss. Instead, we have Eric Singer on the drums and vocals as well, and Bruce Kulick on the guitar. When I first listened to this album, I didn't like it. And I have a good reason not to like it because there's no Ace Frehley on here. However, I decided to be open-minded and try to take it for what it is, which is 15 years later. The group is very different. No more makeup, no more Ace Frehley, no more Peter Criss, and pyrotechnics are down a bit too. However, the music's still pretty solid. This is a pretty solid album. It's got 16 tracks on it, and it comes with as you can see, it's got this cover on it. It's a little bit different than the other Kiss Alives. Sorry, I've got these pop-ups showing up on my screen here, and so we can get rid of them all. There, that's better. So we have, comes in with a little thing here, shows different aspects of the band. The ties. Then on the inside, it's kind of neat. It gives you a list of tracks and the family tree that was put together by the Japanese fan club. A couple of mistakes, nothing serious. They spelled Tony Iommi as Tommy Iommi. It's kind of funny. And they have listed I Was Made for Loving You as being on Dress to Kill. And we all know that it was on Dynasty, for those Kiss fans who know their Kiss. And there was one other track that was erroneously written in here, but for the life of me, I cannot remember right now. So anyways, there's 16 tracks on the album. They did one thing kind of different from the first two Kiss Alives. The first, if you're aware of the first two Kiss Alives, the first one has only tracks from the first three studio albums. The second one has only tracks from the second three studio albums, except for a fourth side, which they had all new material on. So this Kiss Alive was supposed to not have any tracks from those two albums, but they ended up having several tracks on here that were not on the original album, so I'm just going to go through them a bit. But before I go that, I was going to tell you a little bit about the album. The album was released on May the 18th, 1993, a date I won't forget because that's my friend Jennifer's birthday. I always remember that date. The other one, it was the venue for it was they recorded it in Cleveland, in Detroit, and at the Market Square Arena in Indianapolis. It's about 66 minutes in length, and it's on the Mercury label, and was produced by Kiss and Eddie Kramer. Of course, this Kiss Alive is no different than the other two Kiss Alives in that rumors abound that this was recorded and then had the live part dubbed in. And I'm sure that there was some of that here, because that's the way these guys like to operate. But anyways, the album is pretty good. Notwithstanding, Paul Stanley said something when he was talking about something on the album. I can't even remember what it was now, but it was kind of a silly thing. I don't know why he even brought it up. It sounds stupid, actually. Anyways, it didn't make any sense to me. Anyways, it's got, like I said, 16 tracks. I have to say, I'm impressed with Bruce Kulick. He's kind of a mild-mannered guy. I didn't know much about him. I knew a little more about his brother Bob, who had performed covering for Ace Frehley a couple times on, I think it was Destroyer, and it might have been one other one, I can't remember what it was, but I know Destroyer, he covered a few tunes for him. So anyways, there's a couple of solos in here from like some of the original material that I thought he nailed. Like he got them exactly the way Ace played them. If you didn't know it was Ace wasn't on here, you'd think it was him because he's pretty solid on it. I was impressed. It's you can do the solo verbatim, but sometimes it's hard to get the exact noises that somebody else gets. He sounded just like Ace. I thought it was really well done. So anyways, we'll just go over the track slightly. There's Creatures of the Night. That's the one they open it with. I always like that track. That's off Creatures of the Night, right? Excuse me. Having my moment. Deuce, of course, which was the opener on Kiss Alive. Opener on Kiss Alive, of course, yes. So they did have, there's one track anyways from their old albums. I Just Wanna, it's a more 80s release, 90s release. Then you got Unholy, another pretty good track. Heaven on Fire, yeah, I can live without that song. Watching You, of course, is on Kiss Alive as well as this one. I think Gene's voice sounds kind of like he's out of tune and he's just not nailing it very well on any of the songs he does on here, to be honest. Domino, which is a song I like by him. I Was Made for Loving You, of course, which is from Dynasty, not Dress to Kill. I Still Love You, that's a tune that I think Paul did that, and it was written by him and Vinnie Vincent. I think wrote that one. I'm not 100% sure. Rock and Roll All Night, of course. So there's the fourth track. That comes off Kiss Alive as well. So you got 1, 2, 3 so far. I thought it was 4. Okay, there's only 3 so far from Kiss Alive. Then you got Lick It Up. That track, that's my post Ace Frehley track. That's the one Kiss track I like quite a bit without their makeup and without Ace Frehley on it. Forever, I could live without that. It's a ballad. I Love It Loud. Pretty. That's a pretty solid tune. I got kind of worn out with it though. I don't really want to hear it ever again. Detroit Rock City was the, I believe, the only track. Yeah, it's the only track from Kiss Alive 2 that they brought onto here. It originally actually was the opener on Kiss Alive 2. So all 3 openers from all 3 Alive albums, Deuce on Alive, Detroit Rock City on Kiss Alive 2, and now Creatures of the Night here on Kiss Alive 3. God Gave Us Rock and Roll, gave rock and roll to you. I don't really like that song too much. And the Star Spangled Banner, which I thought Bruce did a pretty good job on. A lot of these bands like to do the Star Spangled Banner. I guess Jimmy started that and everybody wants to try to keep up with the Joneses. Anyways, overall, pretty solid album. There's no lengthy guitar solos and no drum solos on this album, which is different, but I guess it's not Peter and Ace anymore, so they didn't want to draw too much. I guess they didn't want to draw too much attention to guys other than themselves, for obvious reasons. You know, people. There's a lot of people that go to these things who've never seen Kiss and think that this is the original 4, and they don't want to draw any attention to the fact that it isn't. But this is actually at a time period where they're actually still making new material. So this is a band. There's no makeup here. So this is a rock band, basically. It could be. There's a lot of people who like Kiss from the 80s and 90s, and there's quite a few who listen to their music but didn't know that was the same Kiss band. Anyways, I don't know how they can not know that, but I guess it happens. Anyways, a pretty solid live album, dubbing in without standing. So, anyways, if you haven't heard it, give it a listen to. You might enjoy it. It's about an hour long. That's about as much as I can stand on a live album, anyways. And there you go. Kiss Alive 3, 1993. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, it just happened. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated. We'll be back next Friday night live with another live experience. And I think, and I'm pretty sure, we're going to be going to Gentle Giant for this one. The live show that I watched on Gentle Giant was amazing. I loved it. I'm going to watch it again in a couple days just to make sure it's the one I want to do. I haven't done a live video on something I've seen on the internet or on YouTube for a while. It's been mostly albums lately, so thought I would do one of these. This is one I quite like, so we'll cover that next Friday on the Friday Night Live experience. And have yourself a good night, and we will see you again really soon. Goodbye.